you've been here to Kyle's events before. You've implemented his process. Why do you keep coming back to Kyle's events?
There's a number of reasons. One is the relationships, the people that I meet here. They're higher level people than a lot of events that I've been to or you could go to. I mean, for example, I just listened to a gentleman who's going to be a billionaire in about a year or two. He just sold $200 million portion of his company. And then the next gentleman just bought Billionaires.com and is interviewing hundreds of billionaires. And so really, like, those messages are worth the entire time it took me to drive from 2 a.m. in the night to the airport to get here for the yesterday and today and leave tomorrow at 6 in the morning. Like, it's worth it to go out of my way to do that because there's no other place that I can get access live, face to face, and talk to those types of people, and shake hands with them after their message and really get some really actionable things that I can put into my life that it forces me to take that time to learn and grow versus just reading a book or something else outside of, my family and my business. It forces me and forges me into a different individual.
Yeah. And this is a different event than most events out there. So that sacrifice, you're busy. We'll get into why you're busy in a second, but you're busy. You're making these time commitments to come here. The travel is always a pain in the butt, but this room is different than most rooms. I mean, even Pat, who's MC, right? Normally rah, bounce off the walls, everyone jump up and down. This isn't like that. This is like serious, emotional, empowering, networking. This is a different event, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the people here are real. People have real goals. We're here to help each other, and it's more of a family feel when you're here. And I've experienced that in the Cutco community that I grew up in, selling Cutco and so on. But like I said, here it's just a higher level group of individuals overall.
Let's pick that up right there. Cutco. So you were selling knives commercially, residentially? Like what was it? What was that?
Residentially.
Okay. So like door to door?
No, more or less like starting with referrals. And then I helped like build an events program with the company as well that we developed, where you go to a home show, a Barrett-Jackson, an art festival, really anywhere there's people, because everyone needs better knives if they don't have Cutco. And then so we would just meet people there and eventually developed a way to sell at the events, lots of Cutco. Initially it was just a lead gathering thing, and then cultivated that over a decade and coached a lot of people there, and it was fun, and it's afforded me the ability to travel and do what I want to do.
And what was next? So after Cutco.
Well, I transitioned from Cutco directly into this and buying the business. I've done a lot of the things like, start a publication and various other like businesses while I was with Cutco, because the freedom is pretty, once you start making a couple $100,000 a year, you can do it and you're only working 8 months. You can spend your time, you can build other things. But really this is a big jump for me here, because like in being in the business for a month, and really realizing the true nature of what's going on as an owner, and seeing that the owner coming in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and that's really what he was doing. And the things he's doing, after learning them, it takes me like an hour an hour or two each of those days to do, and it just blows my mind. And I know that the future is very bright. So
what planted that seed? Because a lot of people say a couple $100,000 a year, I'm working 8 months, I'm doing these events, everything's kind of wired, I got some security because I work for a big company. What planted the seed of the idea to even buy a business or even think about it?
So my wife and I have date nights. We have date days once a month. We have, to spend time together. And one of the date nights, we asked ourselves, what do we actually like want money wise? Like, what do we want? What do we truly want? Like, let's not like hold anything back, or let's just think, because if other people can do it, so can we. So what's the number? And then we wrote it down, and then we said, okay, now I've learned from some successful people, you need to identify how you're going to use that money, because then the brain thinks like you own it now, like that's reality. It becomes a kind of like a reality. And so we literally 1% here, 2% here, like every dollar where it went to. And then we just started thinking about that and like what we wanted with our time freedom and what we wanted with like our kids that we have 4 of them now 6 and under, but at the time we only had a couple, and how we wanted to spend our time with them and the things we wanted to do. How we wanted to take our whole family on a trip once a year for 7 days, including like our parents and brothers and sisters, and like, you know, it's going to cost $50,000, right? And we're going to pay for everybody. Like, you know, if you want to be able to do that and all these other things that with that money that we wanted, like, and donate $100,000 to charity here and so on and so forth, you know, and, you know, so like really the universe kind of like God, however we want to say it, started putting the acquisitions on the radar for us. And it wasn't initially with Kyle, but it became quite clear that there was a really good strategy, buy box, people, success being had, and it just made a lot of sense. And that's where it started. And yeah,
I'm going to come back to Kyle in a moment, but you said something there about, you know, that desire was placed in your heart, placed in your head. It was placed. That's every time I see that, people think, oh, well, here's it. It's not greed. It's not. I believe that's from a place of good. I believe when you have the things placed in your mind and placed in your heart of lack and of scarcity and of fear, I believe that's the evil you got to beware of.
True. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like money that makes you good or bad. It's what you do with it, you know, and I think that's pretty obvious, because there's really, really good people out there with a lot of money, and there's really, really bad people with a lot of money, and there's really, really bad poor people, and there's really, really great poor people. Like, everybody's just either good or bad, and to what degree, I think there's good in everyone. And like, really, whatever you feed, the white wolf on here or the black wolf over here is on either shoulder. Like, whatever one you feed more is the direction you'll go in your life. So we wanted more money so that we had more opportunity, so we could help more people, so our kids would have ultimate opportunity, and so we have more time. I feel like with more money, you have the ability to leverage things, and we've become really good at delegation, even in our household, and we just try to get rid of anything that doesn't bring us joy in our lives, and somebody else might find joy in doing those things, and you can employ, you know, you help other people, you know, to do those things, and everybody wins. So read the Diamond Cutter win scenarios, and if I can get more of those in my life, then it's fabulous. Yeah.
And we heard the stories even yesterday about, you know, when someone else in the family has hard times, they get stolen from, health issues. Right. It's not, money doesn't add to the problem. It's a tool, a resource to solve the problem.
Save the day. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, cut the check, transfer the money, and don't worry about it.
Right.
Where everyone else, that's like, it just, well, here we go again, or you just drive. And that's where our people get really driven into the ground, into poverty, into not being able to pay their bills, into visions of lack, and they don't even see this as even possible.
Right. It's just a cycle, and you just have to start thinking differently. Yep. Surround yourself with different people, read different things, think different things. What you think is what you can create.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, growing up, was money discussed? Was money talked about? Were you educated in money? Yeah, when you were a kid.
Not really. You know, honestly, my grandpa, he was a colonel in the Marine Corps, went to Harvard afterwards. He had owned an insurance business, but my parents were not. My mom was a secretary at the school system. My dad was an engineer there, best engineer. He ended up, oh my gosh, like amazing person and hardest worker ever. However, like to get to be living where we lived, my grandpa paid for our down payment on the house, and we lived right on the border of Detroit. You know, you go 2 streets over, and it's like it's dangerous basically, and where we lived. So I kind of got lucky in the fact that I was able to grow up in like a really nicer area, but other than that, we didn't have a lot of extra of anything really. But yeah, I mean, you just do what you do, right?
So now, transition to you have children, you have a family. Mm-hmm. What are they going to learn about money? What are you intentionally going to teach them? And maybe you already have or started it.
Yeah. So totally, like I'm teaching them that it allows you to impact the world. It allows them opportunity, and it's just a tool that can be used to serve others and yourself at the same time. You know, really. That's what we teach right now is saving. We teach they can earn and we're trying to really, they're so young, it's 6 and 5. And if I just had the 6 or just the 5-year-old, then, I think it'd be a little easier, but we're getting systems in place right now. We have an au pair, we have a household assistant, we have these other things to eliminate things that don't bring us joy. But that's one of our things to focus on, honestly, that we haven't done a lot of talking about. We have talked to all of them about it. They have their own little bank accounts and they have that stuff, but I know there's a lot we can do there. So I'll be honest, it's not my strongest suit yet.
Well, no, but it's coming, right? I mean, 5 and 6 is about the age they start being aware of what mommy and daddy do.
Right.
And kids at school, they're going to start asking, what does your daddy do? Well, my daddy's a firefighter, a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, an executive. There's such a small percentage of people that own the businesses that actually implement this process.
Right.
It's such an advantage, but you're going to want to be careful. You want to give your kids enough to do something, but not so much that they can't do anything or they don't have to do anything. So that'll be a fun.
Oh, that's so true.
Watch how that's going to grow for you.
That's so true.
I know you'll be intentional about it.
Yeah, most definitely. That's what my wife and I, Candace, and we've talked about that specifically. Like they will need to earn pretty much everything. Yeah. So, but they'll, and there's things we'll split with them, right? Like, we'll split this, we'll split that, and that way they still understand what it is, but they, we'll make it so that it can be within reach when maybe it would be impossible with their schedules to be able to get certain things.
Yep.
So.
And what great challenges to have. I can't think of anything else that I'd rather be dealing with than having to talk to, have the kids raised in this environment versus what they see around them, or when you're in Detroit. I mean, I'm from Detroit too. And you drive through the areas that are in such poverty next to areas that are very affluent. I mean, you said 2 blocks. Those are 2 different worlds and they're 100 feet apart.
Right.
100 feet apart. Yeah. So now let's get to how this all happened, right? So you met Kyle because you were looking at businesses anyway. Is that what it was? You were kind of looking at this possibility and then found him?
Yeah, I found someone else online and paid, a little bit to learn some things from them. And then I found, Kyle's just much more organized, much more professional. And it was much more expensive, 10 times as expensive, actually, to do. It wasn't a simple, decision or easy decision to make. However, I made the investment and, I definitely don't regret it. So,
right.
Yeah, the rest is history. But I mean, from there, we could talk about the deal or whatever.
Yeah, you start following Kyle's process, and you laid this out on stage in front of the room yesterday. I mean, you kind of celebrated you. This happened relatively quickly. I know Kyle says, I want you to buy a business in the first year. But from meeting Kyle, even though you had a little insider momentum, or at least the inertia maybe was broken in those other programs.
Yeah, so the process for me was interesting. Like, I didn't end up getting the company until about a year and a half into the whole process. There was deals that I had lined up that ended up not being good enough deals. Like it didn't check all the boxes in the end, and so I had to let them go, and then I had to start the process again. Eventually, I just got frustrated, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like go crazy on this, and like I'm gonna submit LOIs left, or I'm just gonna like go nuts. And I had a lot of systems in place at that point because I'd been doing it like on an Excel sheet that was a Google sheet. I had a VA in the Philippines that was helping me to sort all the data from all the companies and helping me to get the NDA signed and helping me to get the CIMs and then texting me with a Google Drive link once the CIMs were uploaded. So like I'd look at something on Biz by Sell and I'd just I'd paste it into Outlook, keep looking, paste the next one to Outlook, keep looking. After I was done with an hour, I'd send that email to her. And the next thing you know, 3, 4, 5 days later, I'd get a text with the CM and information on the company. Like, so it was, those processes allowed me to like really scale what I was looking for quickly. And I was also still taking a couple months off, traveling here and there with the family and doing what I normally do with my lifestyle, because I'm a family man first and a businessman second. And yeah, I'm not a family man with a business. I'm a businessman. Yeah, I'm a family man with a business, not a businessman with a family.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah. So that's always been a priority. So like if a deal didn't go through, and like I actually stopped looking for like a couple months because it was like not in lined up with what we were doing at the time, and then I'd start back up. So anyways, I finally finished the deal, and it's been 4 weeks now, 5 weeks now since the deal's been closed, and I've been living there in this other area of the country now.
And so were you in Detroit while you were looking, or so you moved for the business?
So I moved in 2009 to Arizona.
Yep.
And then I lived there. So I just moved from Arizona to Connecticut, where the business is located.
Gotcha.
We have a place in Maine that we go to every year. It's only 5.5 hours from there. So it was close enough to that location, which is our favorite place in the world.
Yep.
That we're gonna go ahead and buy the company and move there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So got the company about a little over a month ago, and moved across the country for the second time.
Yep.
And own this business.
This time with the 4 kids and the au pair. Yep.
What, you mind telling us what industry? What does the company do?
Absolutely. It's simple business. That's what I wanted. Nothing complicated. It's in the home services. It's a company that installs like storm doors or cellar doors. So they're, the cellar door in the Northeast, and not a lot of part of the country, other parts of the country have this, but in the Northeast, most houses have like a door that leads down into the basement of the house. And most houses have basements in the Northeast because of the frost level line and so on. So anyways, that door is a secondary access point to the house, and actually code dictates if anyone's living down in the basement, you need to have a secondary access point.
Yeah, egress. Yeah.
You have to, yeah. So anyways, that's just the doors that honestly rust and they break down over 20, 30 years. A lot of the ones that people put in initially are not that good. People don't like really understand it, how to get the best doors. And so the company was making they really pioneered the industry. And they have this special powder coating that they utilize on the doors. They're the only ones that could do custom doors. And the owner, he had health problems. It's been 20 years now, the business, over 20 years, and had a couple heart attacks, had, some issues with his back. So he needed to exit. And so it was a perfect opportunity for me to come in, save the company, and be the new owner.
Love it. Love it. So Kyle's process doesn't stop when you buy the company. You have you got a process to get in and feel your way and learn and get the right people in place, and then start to implement some of your growth processes, right?
Well, yeah, I've been reading the business playbook, which is for the trainual to systemize everything. I read the who, not the how. These are like books that I was connected to through the community and through just like mentors and people that I've met along the way, and the processes. How Won't Get You Here, Won't Get You There is another book I've read. This is all in the last like 5 months. I'm reading the 7 Dysfunctions of a Team right now. So that's all like stuff that I've been doing towards this process. But I can say that yesterday here at this conference alone, it was interesting to learn literally in like 3 hours. I have so many notes from the gentleman who came in, David, who just is from Scaling Up, and I have that book and I haven't finished it. I've started it, and it was amazing. And I have so many like action steps to take, and it's basically taking like what companies that have 100, 200 employees do to be successful, insist that they have to do, that you don't have to do when you're a smaller company. But if you do it when you're a smaller company, not only will you grow, but you'll make a lot more money as well. And so these are things that I'm super excited to go back and implement. And so it doesn't stop with just buying the company, and it continues with the relationships you have, because you never know when you're going to be helping someone with something that they need to make them successful, to get them out of whatever there's going on. You never know when you're going to need somebody who has somebody who knows somebody who can do the thing you need to do. Because it is like you said, it's not about or I don't know if you said it, but it's not about like how, it's about who. And that's the case with like everything in your business as you're a business owner. And then obviously any challenges that arise too. Someone's been there, someone's done that, right? And you can leverage that experience and that knowledge.
Very cool. Very cool. And essentially what you're investing in yourself, you're buying back your time.
Absolutely.
And you had no intention of sometimes we have to go get our time back. So through this process, and you sound very intentional about where you're spending it. I love that you're choosing and intentionally focusing on and investing in what brings you and your family joy. I mean, this life is not something we're meant to suffer through.
Right.
There are some things that we have to go through. There's some work that needs to be done on us to get us to this point. Right. And even deals that fall apart, I mean, they're gut-wrenching. So I'm not downplaying patience in any way. But when you can start buying back your time, buying the automations, having things that what I hear the 24 hours a day, everyone has 24 hours, and that's not true. Some people have 30 hours, some people have 50 hours, some people have 100 hours, some people have thousands of hours every day. And as a business owner, you've unlocked a world now where you have thousands of hours potential every day, and you can scale and automate that to potentially have tens of thousands of hours in a single day.
Right.
I mean, you could look at what could be done last month. It could be years of stuff that your team or your business did in the last 30 days. So you've actually changed that perception of time. You're disconnected from that time where you're not now selling your time by the hour.
Right. No matter how much I made in Cutco, which was a lot more than a couple $100,000 a year when everything was getting towards the end, I understood it was just time for money. In the end, that's just not going to get me anywhere significant. And working on the weekends at events when my kids are going to be off on the weekends, and I had more time than most, but I needed to break free to give them what they deserved. And that's like a really good dad that's there for them,
I love it. You're a great.
That's really like the whole motivation behind everything.
Yeah. Well, and that's all by design.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. If there's anything you'd like to say to Kyle, Kyle's that camera. If you look right at him and talk to him for a second.
Sure. I would say, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for the dedication you have to the group, to the people, to finding time to communicate with us and help this world to take people in their dreams and their goals and make it so they can achieve their dreams and goals through their hard work and their persistence. Just giving people that opportunity. You can't control what people do with the opportunity, but you really give people the opportunity to have a chance. And those that need it or want it or are hungry enough, they're going to get it. And I just want you to know that that's a big deal, what you're doing. And I appreciate you for doing it. Thank you.
Awesome. Now, I said something while you were talking earlier, and I don't want to put words in your mouth at all. But if you feel in alignment with this, I mean, you had invested in other programs that were less money, but it was Kyle's system that really brought this to fruition, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Would you, in your own words, tell Kyle that?
Yeah, it was. And if I had gone another route, I maybe would have been buying like a $300,000 to $400,000, $500,000 business, something like literally buying a job, right? Like the ingenuity of the buy box is like something I don't believe I would have just created out of thin air. And what you're doing is you're really protecting people that get into acquisitions by educating them on a way to buy something that has people that are running to buy it as an owner versus buying a job. So
did you invest in the other programs?
The one before Kyle?
The one before Kyle.
Yeah, no, I invested into it, and I watched a lot of things, learned some different things, some terminology and various stuff, but I never was able to execute. And it wasn't like I saw a clear-cut path. I couldn't really understand how to in a clear-cut way without just like spending all my whole life just all day just making calls and just like talking to bankers and brokers, and just going out and buying whatever I could find randomly. And it just didn't feel right. So, Kyle, I invested in other programs before I met you and found your program. And, thank you, because I would not be where I'm at. I would not have completed the transaction if it wasn't for you.